There was once a young Muslim man who slowly became distant from the Quran. As a child, he used to hear beautiful recitations in the house. During Ramadan, he would sometimes read a few pages. Islamic reminders used to touch his heart easily back then, but as years passed, life changed, the dunya became louder, social media consumed his attention daily. Entertainment filled his nights. Endless scrolling replaced moments of reflection. And slowly, without realizing it, he became spiritually empty inside. The Quran remained untouched on a shelf in his room. Dust slowly gathered on it year after year. Sometimes he would look at it briefly and feel guilt in his heart, but he always told himself the same thing. One day I will return to it. Yet that one day kept getting delayed. Meanwhile, his heart became heavier over time. Even when surrounded by friends, laughter, and distractions, something still felt missing inside him. At night, after everyone slept, he sometimes stared silently at the ceiling wondering why he no longer felt peace. He tried entertainment, he tried social media, he tried chasing temporary happiness. But nothing truly filled the emptiness in his heart. One evening, after a long exhausting day, he returned home feeling emotionally drained. He dropped his phone beside him and sat quietly in the darkness of his room. For some reason, the silence that night felt different. Heavy, almost painful. Then his eyes slowly moved toward the Quran resting on the shelf nearby, the same Quran he had ignored for years. For a few moments, he stared at it silently. Something inside him whispered, "Open it." At first, he hesitated. He felt ashamed of how distant he had become from Allah, ashamed of how many reminders he ignored, ashamed of how many years had passed carelessly. But finally, with trembling hands, he stood up slowly and picked up the Quran. Dust covered the cover softly, and the moment he opened it, everything began to change. As the young man slowly turned the pages of the Quran, emotions began filling his chest heavily. It had been so long. So many years had passed without sincerely reading the words of Allah. At first, his eyes moved across the verses quietly, then suddenly, one verse caught his attention completely. It felt as though the words were speaking directly to him, a reminder about returning to Allah before it becomes too late, a reminder about hearts becoming hardened through sins and distractions, a reminder about how temporary this dunya truly is. The young man froze, his chest tightened, and for the first time in years, tears began forming in his eyes, not because of worldly pain, but because he realized how far he had drifted away from Allah. He remembered all the nights wasted carelessly, the prayers he delayed, the reminders he ignored, the moments he chose dunya over his relationship with Allah, and suddenly, the emptiness inside him finally made sense. His heart was starving for Quran, starving for guidance, starving for closeness to Allah. The young man lowered his head and began crying silently, deep emotional tears he had not cried in many years. At that moment, he understood something powerful. The Quran was never just a book, it was guidance. Mercy, healing for the heart. The more he continued reading, the more peace slowly entered his chest. The anxiety he constantly carried began softening, the noise inside his mind became quieter. And for the first time in a very long while, he felt something he had been missing for years, real peace, not temporary entertainment, not fake happiness from distractions, but genuine peace from remembering Allah. That night changed him deeply, because sometimes one sincere moment with the Quran can awaken a heart that has been asleep for years. From that night onward, the young man slowly began changing his life. Not overnight, not perfectly, but sincerely. He started spending less time drowning in distractions and more time with the Quran. Every day, he read even if only a few verses, and slowly, his heart began transforming. The same person who once felt empty now felt peace during quiet moments with Allah. The same Quran he ignored for years became the most comforting part of his day. Whenever sadness overwhelmed him, he opened the Quran. Whenever anxiety filled his chest, he read Quran. Whenever temptation pulled him toward old habits, he remembered the verses that once broke his heart. And little by little, Allah guided him back. His prayers became more consistent, his character improved, his heart softened toward others. Even the way he viewed dunya began changing. Before, he believed happiness came from entertainment and temporary pleasures, but now he understood something deeper. Real peace comes from closeness to Allah. One evening, while sitting quietly after reading Quran, He realized something emotional: Allah never abandoned him, even after years of neglect, even after countless mistakes. Allah still allowed his heart to return, and that realization made tears fall from his eyes once again, because many people believe they are too sinful to return to Allah. But Allah's mercy is greater than every sin. The Quran was not sent only for perfect people. It was sent to guide broken hearts back to Allah, and now the young man wished he had returned sooner. Because the peace he spent years searching for in dunya had been waiting for him inside the Quran all along. My dear brother and sister, many people today are searching desperately for peace. Some search through entertainment, some through money, some through relationships and worldly success. But no matter how much dunya they collect, their hearts still feel empty inside. Why? Because hearts were created to remember Allah, and nothing truly fills the heart except closeness to Him. The Quran is not just a book sitting on a shelf. It is guidance for the lost, mercy for the broken, light for hearts trapped in darkness. And sometimes, one sincere verse can completely change a person's life forever. So if you have become distant from the Quran, return to it now. Do not wait until your heart becomes harder. Do not wait until death suddenly arrives. Open the Quran again sincerely. Even if it has been years, even if you made many mistakes, Allah's mercy is still open, and perhaps the peace you have been searching for your entire life is waiting for you inside the words of Allah. May Allah reconnect our hearts with the Quran. May Allah forgive our sins and guide us back before it becomes too late. Follow and subscribe to Islamic Tales and Wisdom for more emotional Islamic reminders and powerful stories.